Hi, everyone. So welcome. My name is Emily. I'm here with my colleague, Blair Nickel, and Mike Welch. And we have worked with Mike for many, many years. As you know, Blair and I, when we come across certain franchise brands, we currently work with a few hundred, and there are occasionally some that really jump out and stand out to us that we want to share these opportunities with you. So we've asked Mike to join us for a 20-minute lunch and learn to give you an opportunity to see some of these great new businesses that are available. And if you're not already familiar with FranNet, we are an international organization and we work locally. So here, Blair and I work in the states of Oregon and Idaho. And the way I like to say it is we're not here to try to talk you in or out of anything. We have a lot of information and resources to help you make a really well-informed decision as it relates to business ownership. Gosh, between Blair, Mike, and I, we've probably placed hundreds, maybe 1,000 or more people safely into business ownership. And if that's something that you're interested in, we're here to help. So Mike, I'm going to hand it over to you. And before I do want to say that I have heard Mike present this new concept before. And Mike, you may not know, but I have firsthand experience using these services in my home, using or being around the equipment that you refer to. So I can just vouch for the industry and just vouch for so much of what you share. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Mike. Tell us about Resto Pros.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So for those who are on the line with us today, first of all, thanks for investing your time and learning more about this business opportunity. A little bit about my background. I've been in franchising for almost 20 years. I've helped over 400 people open up around 2,000 franchise locations myself. And I've also owned multiple franchises, bought into my first franchise system when I was in my early 20s and have been involved in either ownership as a franchisee or as an equity partner in a very large franchise organization, and so have been around franchising my entire adult life. And it's not often that I see something that absolutely boggles the mind, makes me stop dead in my tracks, and makes me think, oh, I want to own the entire state of Minnesota for this franchise. Well, Resto Pros is one of them, and I'll explain to everybody why. So RestoPros is in the disaster restoration business. So we're a restoration company that solves water, predominantly water. About 85% of our revenue comes from water because that's where we focus. It's by far the most profitable component of the business. We also do fire and mold damage in residential and commercial businesses. Now, this is very important. If there's any copious note takers on the line, what you want to know is that we are really in the equipment rental business. And what I mean when I say that is your equipment is by far your biggest employee, in that we go out, so there's water, the plumber goes out and stops the water flowing, but they don't remediate the water. So they call us, or they have the clients call us, and we send a technician, maybe two out, depending on how large the job is. They're out there for a couple of hours, and then for the next 3 to 4 days on average, our air movers, dehumidifiers, and ozone machines just sit out there and do all the work. And so if you break it down, we're really in the renting equipment to insurance companies business. And I can tell you that it's a highly profitable, wildly successful business. Huge industry. It's a $200 billion a year plus industry. To give you a frame of reference, what's $200 billion? That's a lot of money. What does that mean? It's about the same size as domestic fast food. So remediating water, fire, and mold from homes is about the same size of business as tacos, Whoppers, Big Macs, Subway sandwiches, and pizzas combined. It's a huge industry. And every single day, there's on average about 14 floods. A lot of times people are scared to use this term, but when I describe this business, I am telling you it is recession proof. Because think about it. If you come home from work and your basement is flooded, do you check the Dow Jones Industrial Average, or do you see what the S&P did that day? Absolutely not. You call a plumber and you're going to get your house fixed. That's why you have insurance for it, right? It's pandemic proof. It is a big, big business. Now, when you think about Resto Pros, we've got a very modest investment. We show a range of $81,000 to 187,000. And I don't care what the business is. I never, ever, ever want to talk to candidates about the low end. That's the sun, the moon, the stars aligning, and just everything turned out perfect. And if you game plan for that, then you've underplanned. So I always talk somewhere in terms of 100 to $160,000. 187 means everything was just as expensive as we could have possibly imagined. And the swing between really, the 120 and the 160 total investment is going to be, did you buy the truck or did you lease the truck? And then did you start out of your home or did you start out of a warehouse space? Those are going to be the two variables that create the delta in the investment range. This business has the most outstanding profit margins that I have ever seen in my entire career, ever. It's not even close. So when we think about the investment to the potential rate of return, it is as beautiful as any business I've ever seen. It's a simple business. You've got 2 to 3 employees per territory and a little bit of equipment. It is very scalable. The founder, who I'll talk about in just a minute, Alex, he actually runs by himself with his crew. He runs 5.5 territories. This is a hugely scalable business, very flexible lifestyle, and ground floor opportunity. So there is tons of great territories available. So there's a picture of Alex. He's 26 years old. He started the business when he was 23. So at 22, he was sleeping on his parents' couch. At 23, he started RestaPros, and now at 26, he's doing unbelievable things. He started in the business right out of high school. By the time he was 19, he managed large loss sales for a large disaster restoration company. He learned the business in and out, and then he started RestaPros. And he's done some things that have absolutely turned the industry on its ear. It's a complete 180 from a marketing and customer acquisition standpoint, which is what makes it so different. So we're not plumbers. We're not contractors. We don't rebuild anything. We don't renovate anything. We do the remediation. So we do water extraction, structural drying, water remediation, humidity control, moisture detection, all those things that come along with removing water from a basement or from a kitchen or whatever, and then creating an environment where the humidity levels are appropriate again, right? And what we really do, as I mentioned before, is we do that by renting equipment to insurance companies. Now, the business has been around for just over 3 years, so the model is already proven. Alex has proven it 5.5. He's got almost 6 territories that he runs in Charlotte. We've got our first franchisee in Raleigh, North Carolina, doing unbelievable things. We could have never expected his first year to go the way that it has. Terrific. So the IICRC certification is what you have to own a disaster restoration company. The thing that's neat about our training is Richard Driscoll is the co-author of the IICRC training course, and he is our corporate trainer. So when you leave Charlotte, North Carolina, you are IICRC certified and immediately prepared to go out and begin to earn business. So it's not only massively scalable, but it is a very fast, notice that is in all caps, fast ramp up with high margins. Now, I keep teasing the high margins, but I promise I'm going to get there in just a second. We use the best-in-class technology, the best technology that's available to ensure that our owners are seamlessly being able to manage the jobs where the equipment is, payroll, and dealing with the insurance companies. And Alex has completely destroyed the status quo. See, as a general rule, what disaster restoration companies do is they scratch and they fight and they claw to get on the big insurance companies list, right? So pick your big favorite homeowners insurance company, and you've got all the big boys, mega million-dollar businesses that are on the list. And what a lot of the other disaster restoration companies do is they call them, they beg and they plead, and they get somewhere on the list down towards the very bottom. And what they're doing is they're building a business, picking up the scraps from what the insurance company will provide them. Alex realized that there was a completely different way to come at the business. So take that, make it antiquated, and give it a complete 180. So what Alex does is he runs this business, and what our franchise owner in Raleigh will do or is doing, and what our franchise owners in Atlanta who just purchased 5 territories are doing, is our clients are plumbers, contractors, property managers, and realtors. Notice that agents and adjusters is number 5. It could be number 75 as far as we're concerned. We focus on plumbers, contractors, property managers, and realtors, and we go establish referral partnerships, legit, true referral partnerships with these companies. So imagine you establish a referral partnership with AAA Plumbing, and they have 12 plumbers that work there. And they show up because the first person you call is never your insurance agent. When your house is flooding, you call a plumber so that they stop the water from pouring into your home, right? Now we've got a referral partnership with that plumbing company. And what they say is, Mrs. Jones, I stopped the leak, but you need to have somebody come remove the water. Let's call Mike over at Resta Pros. Or here's Mike's card over at Resta Pros. They call, we show up, begin the work, and then help the homeowner file the insurance claim. And so as a result, we find out about the jobs before the insurance company does, thus rendering the list inconsequential. The homeowner is responsible for taking care of the problem. And so we market and develop relationships with plumbers, contractors, property managers, realtors. We show up on the job before the insurance company ever even knows that there's a job to insure. We begin doing the work, help the homeowner file the claim, and then negotiate with the insurance company on the back end. Now, the good news there is there's not a whole lot of negotiation because there's kind of fixed rates that are industry standards that they're willing to pay for certain jobs, right? So rather than fighting and clawing to be on the list and picking up the crumbs, we get the phone call first and go do the work. So think about the business as a triangle. Our customers, our clients, are plumbers, contractors, property managers, realtors. This is who we take golfing. This is who we take out to dinner. This is who we take to concerts. This is who we send checks to. And by the way, it's not industry standard to do these things. What normally happens is, once a week, somebody stops into a plumber's office with a business card and says, hey, can you hand these out to your clients when you're in somebody's house? So they're begging for business and hoping for reciprocation. And I'll say that again. Most disaster restoration companies are begging for business and hoping or offering a little bit of reciprocation, maybe a Starbucks gift card for Christmas. We don't do that. We pay on average an 8% referral fee. Our average jobs are $4,400. So imagine to a plumber knowing that every time you hand out our business card and that client calls, or if you'll just call us directly from their house, it has some true significant value to you, and we'll hand you that check every single month. So it's a real legitimate referral partnership and program that we establish. Now, here's the numbers, guys. So at first year, and this is per territory in Charlotte, average across 6 territories. First year revenues that this business was open, $466,000 net income, not gross profit, not EBITDA, net income. What was put in the owner's pocket? First year averaged $183,000. Second year averaged $336,000. Blair had to fix his glasses because he thinks he sees something wrong. Third year was $524,000. He owns 6 territories and he's 26 years old. And I love him to death, but he's not Bill Gates. He's not Steve Jobs. He's not Michael Dell. This is a simple business with beautiful processes, beautiful procedures, completely differentiated from the competition, and it yields an unbelievable result. So what others on the call may not be aware, but Blair and Emily both know, you don't see a lot of $120,000 businesses where year 3 net income to the owner of the business is life-changing, right? So that's what caught my eye. Great young leader, great industry, complete differentiation, yields an unbelievable result if the system is followed. Okay, so that's not misspelling up here. Dollars and cents. This business makes dollars and it makes sense. Okay, so I brought this up because this is a buying group in Atlanta. Very interesting story. They have been evaluating franchises for over 2 years. These are all high-level executives. They own a software company and they own a 10,000 square foot shared office space together. serial entrepreneurs looking to diversify their portfolio. They looked at dozens and dozens and dozens of businesses over the course of 2 years with a buddy of ours down in Atlanta. And they couldn't find anything, quite frankly, that was worth their time until they saw Restapros. They bought all of Northeast Georgia. Okay. And so it doesn't have to be that caliber of entrepreneur. The beauty of this business is somebody can come in, buy a single territory, and if they follow the system, if they carry the torch, they can make life-changing money. So a day in the life, what's an owner of Restapros do? They're out networking. They're building relationships with referrals, plumbers, contractors, and realtors, right? They're also out in the community, right? They're wearing the logoed polo. You're out at Chamber of Commerce events and sponsoring events and, maybe doing some philanthropic work, but getting involved in the community. They're stopping by current jobs, right? It's nice to be seen. Let the homeowner know the owner stopped by, or, just make sure that things are going well. That's just good course of practice in any business. Make sure that the people you're servicing are happy with the service. Managing a very small crew of people. 2 technicians can do $1 million a year in business from a service work standpoint because the equipment does almost all the work. So it has a very, very, very modest org chart, and we utilize the best technology in the industry. So we use a technology called Encircle, and it allows us to remotely and seamlessly communicate with the homeowners, communicate with the insurance company, managing the scheduling of the employees, tracking the equipment. It does a total project management solution. So this is a blue collar business, but it's got a high tech back end. Again, this is as simple a business model as I've ever seen. You need a laptop. You need a few ozone machines, which we will supply this entire equipment package. You need a couple of dehumidifiers, some air movers, a box truck, and 2 to 3 employees to begin with, right? Territory, 250,000 population, protected marketing area. We are wide open in Oregon and Idaho, and it is a multi-territory opportunity. As I mentioned, somebody can come in and buy a single territory if that's what makes the most sense for them. If somebody's got more acumen or a bigger appetite, more capital, they can come in and buy, 5, 6 territories and have a business, provided that they run it correctly, that looks a lot like our founder's business. So who are we looking for? We're looking for early adopters. Now, when you think about an early adopter, there's pros and cons, right? Everything has a push down and a pop-up effect. This business is a proven industry. It's a proven model. It works. It's being replicated as we speak, and franchising is the victory of replication over the idea. We've got a system. We've got systems, process, structure, procedure, support. It's all in place. We're looking for folks who can come in and replicate the model. And quite frankly, who, instead of being the 200th franchisee and their support person is a $30,000 a year employee at a large corporation, this is somebody who wants to have the founder, the golden child, on speed dial. So we're not only committed to training in Charlotte, North Carolina at our corporate facility for a week, but for our first 10 franchise partners, Alex is committed to going out to their market and helping them establish the referral partners from day one. So very, very fast ramp. They need to be sales oriented. They need to be marketing, customer acquisition people. They need to be, problem solvers. They need to be leaders. And we have a very modest net worth requirement of only $150,000 and $75,000 liquidity because our investment's so low. The second time this slide came up, not an accident, I want to reiterate, we've got a business that in the first full year, a 24-year-old per territory brought home $183,000. By the time he was the ripe old age of 25, per territory, he was bringing home $336,000. And at the cane carrying age of 26, by the time he was his 3rd year in business, he was doing per territory $525,000. So we've got a recession-proof business. We've got an industry that's not going anywhere. We've got a dynamic leader that is absolutely committed to our franchise partners' success. We've got a franchise system that came in and completely disrupted the customer acquisition and marketing model. And we've got wide open territory. We've got a modest investment and some of the best nets you'll ever see in franchising if you spend your entire life evaluating franchises like we have. So with that said, I do have, this is my thank you, right? This is some of the family right here. This is some of the Restapros family. So a big thank you. And before I pass the microphone over to Emily or Blair or whoever's going to take it from me, I do have a request of those who are on the webinar today. Please go through FranNet. I have been working with these guys for almost 20 years now. And the fact of the matter is, you might find that Restapros isn't the right kind of business for you. But if you go through their assessments, you spend the time with the coaching and the guidance that they provide, they will, rather than, a blind squirrel trying to find an acorn, they'll put you on the bullseye. Maybe it's Restapros, maybe it's not, but I will highly encourage everybody on the call to work with Blair and Emily and the team at FranNet to identify the blueprint and the characteristics of the business that would best serve you. And if that's Restapros, let's go do something awesome.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Really appreciate it. Before we kind of get to the next slide, Emily, hopefully we can get the chat room going. So everybody who's out there who's listening, if you have questions or comments or anything you'd like to ask Mike or Emily or myself, feel free to go into the chat box. I'll monitor it here for the next few minutes and we'll get those questions answered. So Emily, back to you.
Yeah, everybody. So as Blair just said, if you have any questions, we've got a couple more minutes. You can enter those in the chat box. And just about everybody on today's session has already had a one-on-one conversation either with Blair or myself. But if not, if you're interested in learning more, the next step would be, if you haven't already, to complete the entrepreneur profile. So if your phone is handy and you turn on the camera, you can focus your camera settings right onto this QR code on the right side of your screen. And you'll get a pop-up with some type of web browser, Safari or Google, and you can provide us your contact information. Let us know if you would like more information on this opportunity. You can request to complete the entrepreneur profile. And similar just to like what Mike was saying, is Restapros may or may not be the right fit for you. If it's not, the entrepreneur profile is going to help us identify which types of businesses or industries are really your best match. So if you haven't done so already, please complete an entrepreneur profile and we can introduce you to Mike and learn about Restapros if that makes sense.
So how much does that entrepreneurial profile cost, Emily?
What a great question, Mike. So all of our services are free. So it doesn't cost you anything more to work with Blair or I. What we can do is we can really help save you a lot of time, energy, and headaches. We're actually paid by the industry. We provide the top performing candidates to many, many franchises across the country. And so just like Mike said, they really prefer to work with us.
So Mike, we had a question come in from Scott. The question is, so everybody can hear it. It seems that a market analysis would be useful that ties in competition and, most importantly, historical info on floods, probably metrics or whatever the case may be. Do you help with, et cetera? Do you help with that?
Yeah, and so there's a lot of questions in there. I would tell you that what we look for, we use a software company called Gibus. Gibus reconciles with the Census Bureau. And what we need are insured structures, right? So whether it's homes, whether it's multifamily properties, whether it's commercial properties, they all have water that runs through them. And so what we look for is, again, 250,000 population, and we look for a dense population of homeowners, multifamily properties, or commercial properties. It surprises people, but the competition part, I promise you they're out there. Just assume that there are a lot of disaster restoration companies, but they're generally approaching the business from the opposite end of the spectrum as we are. And the cool part about it being in an industry that's a $200 billion a year industry is I don't have to elbow my way in to get a place at the dinner table. Our business, those numbers that we saw on a per territory basis, that's 5 to 7 high quality referral partners. I don't need everybody to do business. We couldn't possibly handle it if they did. There needs to be competitors out there because we sure as heck can't get to everything. For any given territory, we're gonna be seeking to have 5 to 7 good, consistent referral partner, plumber, contractor, property managers. So I don't need the whole pie. I need a very small slice of a large economic one.
Yeah, I think it's very true, Mike. I mean, I think we've all dealt with this issue within our homes or know somebody who's dealt with it. I just watched my brother here in the area deal with it. He had a small leak in the back of his refrigerator. They were gone for a week, came back, and the kitchen was just a disaster. And sure enough, what happens is exactly what you mentioned. The plumber comes in, takes care of the leak, and then suddenly these restoration companies come in. They basically tear some stuff out and bring in their fans, and those fans sit there for, you probably know better than I do, a week or so. And so that's it. They're done. And then they come and pick everything up and they're out of there and build the insurance company, right?
Yeah, our average job size is $4,400, and our employees are out there for a couple of hours, and our fans and air movers and dehumidifiers sit out there on average for 3 to 4 days.
Yep. Yep. And so it's, as you know, Mike, Emily and I and the rest of FranNet is very hesitant about saying something that is truly recession proof. We usually say recession resistant.
Yep.
But this one truly is recession proof. I mean, you got a leak in your house, you have a fire at your house, whatever the case may be, you have to take care of it. So,
And also we don't deal with collections issues because we're paid by the insurance companies. They have to pay the claim, right? So I'm not dealing with a homeowner who just went through a tragedy and now has to find a way to pay us a $4,400 or a $15,000 claim. That's what insurance companies are for. So we don't have collections issues as a result. Now, I just did a very similar webinar down south with a buddy of ours, and one of the questions was, "It sounds too good to be true." And if I had a flex capacitor, I would have gone back and said, "It's a great business. It's one of the best I've ever seen in my career, but it's a lot of work. This stuff just doesn't happen, right? So to whom much is given, much is required, and so all of this stuff requires work, and so." It's not too good to be true. I promise you, in any business that I've ever owned, and I think you both can speak to this, there are some days where it seems too bad to be true as a business owner. But when you net weigh everything out, I wouldn't go back and do anything else for the rest of my life, right? So it's not too good to be true. It just requires a doing of it. So it's a series of simple things done correctly. McDonald's doesn't have the best burger, but they do a series of simple things correctly every time, and that's what this business is about.
good.
And Mike, following up on what you said, I have used this service more than once. One of the times was when carpet cleaners came out to my house and they noticed some moisture and they said, well, we'll just have our sister company that does damage restoration come out. And by the way, I live in a small town. And I said, how did you go from carpet cleaning to damage restoration? And they said, homeowners insurance always pays.
Yep.
It was just that simple to them. Yeah. Yeah. And one other thing that I would add, having used this service, is the gentlemen or the people that come in, they are my heroes. They are coming in, making my home livable again, where
Correct.
I can enjoy family dinners again, where my son can get a good night's sleep before going to school the next day. They are truly my heroes getting my home back in order. We were actually displaced in a hotel for about 5 nights. So I would say also a great opportunity for somebody that really wants to serve other people and make a difference.
Absolutely. We walk into you walk into somebody's house and it seems like this insurmountable, overcomable thing. And then, 4 days later, we give you the keys back and life's back to normal, right? It's a very good feeling. And I dealt with my old house flooded twice. And sure enough, my wife was baking these guys cookies. These are your favorite humans for 4 days at a time. So
Pretty much.
well, you can see her coming in and out of the background there. That's the cookie baker.
I think you have half of Minnesota coming in and out of your front door over the past 10 minutes. So
That's the football team. Yeah. Our local high school football team. They live here. So
well,
do we have any other questions, guys? Or
I don't see any other questions, Mike. So Emily, one just came through from Brian. Do you coordinate the physical construction process or ...
okay, so I think the ... is, or do we refer it out? And so we would refer, that's another side of the referral partnership relationships that you establish is we do not reconstruct anything. We remediate, we don't reconstruct. And so if somebody does, so think about it. The plumber just recommended me. I came in and eliminated their water, but now they need some reconstruction done. We're a trusted advisor at that point. We've done a good job. We've done what we said we were going to do. We did it in a timely manner. We helped them, maybe even initiate the insurance claim in many cases. And oftentimes we would either refer that business out or they've got somebody that they would use. But the answer, the ... is no, we don't do construction work. Quite frankly, it's a low margin business. We're not interested in it.
Very good. Emily, you want to wrap us up?
All right, everybody. Mike, thank you so much. And
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for taking some time to join us and learning about this opportunity. Again, if you haven't already, go ahead and take advantage of that QR code, the entrepreneur profile. Blair and I will be sending out a link to this recording so you can revisit any of this information or certainly share it with your spouse or your partner if that's helpful. And thanks everyone for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Bye.